Hello, and welcome to the second webinar for Microsoft Office 365. And this one's going to be on distance learning, getting started with Class Notebook. Hi, I'm Craig Maloney, a learning technologist with Aspire2B. I haven't been on the front of camera during this conference so far. I've been backstage helping organize and bringing everyone in and out of all the different videos. So this is my first viewing on screen, but hopefully we can jump into Class Notebook and offer some tips and some help on how to start Class Notebook and perhaps the benefits of it, especially during distance learning or moving forward from this pandemic. So we're going to start off. The objectives we're going to cover are Class Notebook in Teams. So Mike, as Dean has just, if you've just come from Dean's webinar on Microsoft Teams, Class Notebook is available via Teams, Microsoft Teams. So we're going to go through that, how to set it up. Then we're going to look at the different areas within a Class Notebook, which are content library, collaboration space, the teacher-only area, which is pretty new the last 6 months, and the student area and how they all differ. We're also going to touch on the distributing the work or assignments, and also looking at marking or different ways that we can view and mark or add comments to the students' work. So I'm going to move over to Microsoft Teams. And like I said, if you've just come from the webinar with Dean, okay, you will be familiar with the team setup, and hopefully over the last couple of weeks or last couple of months, you've been diving into Microsoft Teams perhaps a little bit more than usual, okay? But this is the Microsoft Teams setup here, okay? And if you go to whichever team you've got, I'm in Mr. Garza's team here, and the general channel. Up the top, with the tabs up the top here, next to the post and file, you will see the Class Notebook tab, okay? And the Class Notebook tab, when you're setting up a new class in Microsoft Teams, is only available via the general channel, okay? So it's only available via the general channel. But to begin with, what is a Class Notebook? Well, a Class Notebook is a digital notebook for your class, is a way of looking at it, okay? So what can you do within a Class Notebook? So you can create content, okay? And you can easily share it or distribute it to your students. So lesson plans, lesson notes, exam material, assignments, etc. Can all be created within a Class Notebook. And you can easily distribute these with your students, okay? So the different areas, okay, so when you enter a Class Notebook, this is one that has been set up already, and perhaps later on I'll talk us through the different ways of setting up a Class Notebook and the options you get, okay? But as you can see, we have set up a Class Notebook already in Mr. Garza's team, and the first thing you'll see is a Welcome tab. Okay, and what is good? Okay, it does give you some pointers on each page, okay, or each section of the Class Notebook. It will give you some tips on how to set these up. Okay, so as you can see here, there's a welcome to the Class Notebook. Okay, and it gives you some tips. So in this section here, you can write a welcome to your class. Okay, it has a collaboration space, which is underneath there, where students can come together to work on assignments, projects, research, etc. It also has a teacher-only section, okay, where you can put information or documents or plan work in there. You can also add co-teachers. So if you've got more than one teacher in your team, you can both collaborate and work during that teacher-only space, okay? So that's quite handy and pretty new. And then underneath that, you have the student space. So the students have their own space to keep track of work, make notes themselves, and complete assignments or homework that you send them, okay? So if I was to start up a new notebook via Teams, okay, it's only available, as I said, in the general channel. So if I was to show you, go to the brainstorming channel on the left-hand side here, you will see up the top where my cursor is, there is no class notebook option up here, okay? If I was to go back to my general channel, okay, so I've got my posts, files, and then I have a class notebook, okay? So if I click on that class notebook, and like I said, this is pre-made, okay, so I've already made this. But if I wanted to set up a new notebook via Teams, there's two options when you do set it up, okay? So if I was to set up a new one, you can start a blank notebook, okay? Which would obviously start afresh, and you would have a lot of welcome or tip pages, okay? Or you can start from an existing notebook. So you could reuse old notebooks or year-on-year notebooks when you start a new team or a class. So, for example, if you did a notebook this year, and you moved on to a new class in September, and you created a new team in Microsoft Teams, you could reuse your old last year's notebook, so you'd have all your content in there, okay, ready-made and ready for you to distribute whenever you want to your students. Okay, so it's pretty handy in that way, and it would just create then separate or new student sections for the new pupils coming into your class. Okay, so if you choose to select a blank notebook, you can choose to mirror the channels. Okay, so for example, I think Dean touched on this earlier. These channels down here, okay, are obviously different channels inside your team, but in the class notebook, you can choose whether you want to include those channels inside your notebook. And what that will offer you is the chance to have a collaboration space that relates to that channel. So if I was doing work on maths and numeracy, for example, if I go to that section there, I'll choose the brainstorming channel, sorry, because I know I've set this up. So in the brainstorming channel, at the top, you have the notes section, okay? So as Dean said earlier, I think it's going to, it looks very similar to the OneNote or the class notebook settings, okay? So brainstorming is the heading. If I was to add some text in here, please add text / ideas below, okay? I can now go back to my general channel, and I just want to show you that I've added that in the channel space here in the notes. But if I go back to my class notebook, it's linked to my class notebook. I'm going to go on to the left-hand side. Okay, collaboration space. I'm going to drop that down there. Brainstorming channel. And as you can see now, that text that I added inside the channel has already been added to my class notebook. So it's very interactive. It's obviously, it coincides with the work or the stuff that you do in Microsoft Teams as well. But going back to one of my first points, what is a class notebook? It is very, very much a digital notebook for your class. So you can make notes or add lesson plans or add lesson notes as you're going along, and the students can do this as well, and it all interlinks. Okay. Some key features and tips before we go any further. Obviously, a lot of you are aware of this by now, but with all these online apps, they auto-save, so you don't lose any content or any changes that you make, which is obviously very good. And obviously, moving on, I think if you caught a bit of the first guest speaker we had this morning about transitioning into this digital age, I think that's one of the best features, the autosave, so that no one loses any work. Okay. The other thing I want to touch on is if you were to use the arrow here, this would expand the class notebook, so you can see it's taken away the Microsoft Teams sections. Okay, obviously you still have the sidebar on the left hand side if I wanted to go back to anything, or I can use these arrows again, okay, to collapse it Okay, and now I have my Microsoft Teams on my Mr. Dean Garza's team on the left-hand side as well. So a little tip there, because it is a little bit condensed. If I want to expand it full screen, I can do that, okay? And I can obviously collapse it a little bit as well. The other option I want to show you is how to open it in a browser on your app. So across the top here in the main menu of Class Notebook, you can open in browser, or you can open in an app. Obviously, if you were to open it in the desktop app, you would have more functionality than you would online in the online Office 365 Class Notebook or OneNote, okay, or the one that sits inside Teams. So the desktop app has got more functionality like you would have with Word, PowerPoint, etc. Okay, not a great deal, but there are certain ones. Okay, so I'm just going to revisit the different sections. So the welcome section, which is at the top here, add information about your class and yourself. Okay, so this would be where you could perhaps put some key facts about yourself, name, picture, so on, trying to make the pupils feel as students feel as welcome as possible into your class. Then we're going to look at the collaboration space. As I said earlier, this is a space where students and teachers can work together. This can be organized into different teams, channels, to help with note-taking. Okay, so as we demonstrated earlier with the brainstorming, okay, it's very live, okay, and it's where we can ask pupils and students to add notes or work together in pairs and different things, or in groups, to add the collaboration element to our work, okay? If I wanted to stop the collaboration, so for example, if I wanted to have half a lesson where it was open to collaboration, so I would ask pupils, or certain pupils, for example, to add notes to my lesson, okay? I can stop it if I wanted to, okay? So I could go to Class Notebook at the top here, and I can click on Manage Notebook. And inside that, I have some settings, and I can lock collaboration space, okay? So if I was to lock it, okay, I can, that collaboration space has stopped. So that would stop any pupils or students or teachers adding any extra information into those pages or into those notes, okay? So for example, if I wanted to have half a lesson where it was open collaboration, and then we come back together and go through the work that they have done, then I can lock it so they can't add any more information, perhaps copying off my notes or any board workings that I've already done. Okay, so I'm going to just unlock that for now and close that. Okay, we go back to our sections. Okay, the next one we're going to look at is the content library. So in the content library, everyone can see this section, so teachers and pupils, okay? This is where you will structure your lesson plans, class materials, notes, resources, assignments, and exam notes, perhaps, okay? And here, you can easily distribute to your whole class, okay? Or you can distribute to groups or certain individuals. Okay, and we'll touch on this in a bit now. Underneath that, you have the teacher-only area. This is a space where only you see what is kept in here. For example, if you have terms, if you have teams worth a term's worth of work already planned, or a year's worth of work planned and ready to go, you can keep this in your teacher-only area. And then you can drip feed into the content library when you feel necessary. So it's a good place where you can keep all your work, or keep working on your work planning ahead, okay, and then drip feed into the content library when you want. So for example, if we're going into September, into term 1, I can put all of term 1 into the content library, so both myself and my students know exactly where we're going to go with that work in term 1. But in the teacher only area, I could be working on term 2, and the lesson plans and the lesson resources that I need in term 2. And then when we come to term 2, I'm ready to upload that into the content area, content library area. So underneath that, you have the student area. So as you can see, I have 2 students in my class, Bart Simpson and Lisa Simpson, and they are very naughty. As a teacher, you can see all the pupils' folders and work, but as a pupil, they will only see their own folder. Okay, so they will only see their own, and inside there they have different sections. Okay, so I'm just going to show you quickly how we can change what sections they have, or what areas they have in their work as well. So again, I'm going to go to class notebook, and I'm going to go to this notebook sign here on manage notebooks. And this is the same area where we had the lock collaboration space. But on the left-hand side here, you can see class notebook sections, okay? And these are the 4 sections that are auto made, okay? I can go in and I can change these if I wanted to, all right? I can rename them, or I can add a section. Okay, exam resources, okay? So I can save that. And that now is creating a new section for each of the pupils or students in my class. Okay, so that's how you had those. Okay, I'm just going to go back and check if I haven't had any questions. All okay at the moment? Yep. Okay, just moving on. Okay, we're just going to demonstrate now how to distribute the pages or distribute the work to the pupils. Okay, so I'm going to go to my content library, and I've got assignments in here. Okay, and I'm going to create a new assignment. And I call it assignment 2. Okay, and that is in there now. And you can go back to see what you did in first assignment, write a short paragraph. Okay, and I'm going to add assignment 2. Okay, so something short and to the point. Okay, so assignment 1 is write a short paragraph describing your hobbies and interests outside of school. Assignment 2, add some images. Okay, so I want to distribute assignment 2 to my class, or to my pupils. Okay, so again, I go to class notebook, and you see this distribute page here. So I'm on assignments 2. I've got a drop down arrow. Okay, and I can distribute this page. Okay, so I can individually distribute, page distribute, group distribute. Okay, so there's different options there. So if I add a group distribution, I could have my higher learners or my lower learners, for example, and I could send them different work to my class. So if I had a fast paced group, I might give them extra work on top, because I know they're going to finish what I set the whole class a little bit quicker. So I may have an extra task that I can just send to that group. I may have an individual which I want to send a complete different format of the work, or a different options for them to do during this lesson, and I can choose the individual distribution there. But I'm just going to distribute this page to the whole class. Okay, so I've got assignment 2, distribution page. Okay, where do I want to send it to? I want to send it to my homework. Okay, and as you can see on the bottom here, I have distribute. I'm just going to click distribute, and that assignment is going. As you can see underneath here, I've got my assignment 1, which I sent last night, and that was done. And now I can see assignment 2 has been distributed to my pupils. So I can close that down. I can go here. I can go to my pupils, to students to check. Okay, so I'll open Bart Simpson's. I'll go to homework, and as I can see, I have 2 assignments for Bart Simpson, or for my students, in there. Assignment 1 and assignment 2. So that is how you would distribute your work. Okay. The next part I'm going to look at is demonstrating marking or reviewing student work. Okay, so if I was to look at assignment 1, okay, again in class notebook, this is where you get the main features of how to do stuff inside your class notebook. You have this review student work here. If I was to click on that, okay, I want to find the piece of work that I want to look at. So homework, because I know that's where I sent the assignment, and I got assignment 1 there. Okay, and now I can choose whose I want to look at. So if I want to look at Bart Simpson's, I can look at Bart Simpson's. Okay, if I want to look at Lisa Simpson's, I can look at Lisa Simpson's. They haven't done any work there, but you can see it changing. Okay, and I can mark their work then. Okay, also in this area here, you have the page lock-in option. Okay, so if I was to click on that, okay, I can choose whose I want to lock, and I can apply that. Okay, so Bart Simpson's page is locked. Okay, so now he cannot make any changes to that assignment. All right, so there's no changes that he can make to the assignment because I've locked it. So if you have a deadline, whereas in Microsoft Teams assignment, you set deadlines, perhaps in class notebook, there isn't a way of setting deadlines where it auto locks. Okay, but in here, you can lock pages so they can't do any work past the deadline. Okay, so that is how you would mark. All right, if I was in here as well and I'm in Lisa, I just want to show you the draw tab. So if I go in here, I got draw, and you have the different options here. All right, so I can use a pen, and I can choose black, and I can write in here. This is with my mouse. Obviously, if you've got a stylus or a Microsoft Surface Pro, you'd be able to use your pen with that. Or you also have the highlighter, okay, and you can choose different colors, but perhaps mine would be red, okay, and I can highlight certain words, and it obviously does, it auto-fills a little bit more for me. So that's the draw tab, okay. The last part is the view. Okay, so I'm going to click on the view. And in here, you have the immersive reader, which has been spoken about quite a bit in our Microsoft guest speakers earlier, and it's a really effective tool, okay? And if I click on immersive reader, okay, it changes, it creates, turns it into the immersive reader element, so I can change the text preferences, okay? I can make it larger text, okay? Or I can just go ahead and it would read it out for me.
Describing your hobbies and interests outside of school.
Okay, so that's the immersive reader element as well, okay, which sits inside of Class Notebook. Okay, so that's my demonstration done. Okay, I'm just going to go back to my webinar. I'll remove that, and I'm back on screen. Are there any questions? Are there any questions coming up? If not, I'm just going to have a look, perhaps ones that I haven't covered. Okay, but I looked at what Class Notebook does. Hopefully it was pretty clear. Okay, it's obviously a digital notebook for your class. Okay, the different sections inside there, hopefully I made those a little bit clearer. But when you do start up a new class, they do give you a lot of pointers in there, and it allows you to follow the steps to create a good class notebook. So that would be one of my tips, is to read those and perhaps create a holding page or a section using those tips. Okay. I think we covered how to control collaboration. Class Notebook is associated to Microsoft OneNote, so obviously opening in the desktop tab, okay, would open it in Microsoft OneNote, okay, so it's not a separate app, they interlink, okay. Hopefully you enjoyed the webinar. It was a little bit, obviously crammed in a lot of information, but if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact Aspire2Be or myself, Craig Maloney. I'm on Twitter at Craig Moll, okay, M-O-L at the end. But please feel free to contact us and ask us any questions whenever you want. But I hope you enjoyed, and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you very much.